Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and current events from around the world. We're starting off with a developing story that's making waves in international relations. The United States has intercepted a second merchant vessel off the coast of Venezuela in international waters. This move comes just days after President Donald Trump announced a blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers coming in and out of the South American country. According to reports, U.S. forces stopped a vessel on Saturday, although details about the operation are still scarce. The incident follows the seizure by U.S. forces of an oil tanker off Venezuela's coast earlier this month. The U.S. has been increasing pressure on Venezuela, accusing the country of taking U.S. oil and saying the U.S. lost out on investments in the country. President Trump has refused to rule out the potential for open conflict with Venezuela, stating that going to war with President Nicolas Maduro's regime remains on the table. The situation is complex, with both sides presenting different narratives about the events unfolding in the region. The Venezuelan president has urged his navy to escort oil tankers, defying the largest U.S. fleet deployed in the region in decades. Meanwhile, Mexico's president has called on the United Nations to step in and prevent any bloodshed. As the situation continues to unfold, we'll be keeping a close eye on developments and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. We strive to provide balanced coverage of this story, acknowledging the different perspectives and interests at play. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into the world of politics now, where President Trump is facing a unique set of challenges as he enters the new year. According to recent polls, his approval rating has slipped to 39%, with many voters expressing dissatisfaction over the high cost of living and an aggressive immigration crackdown. Now, it's worth noting that President Trump has been one of the most powerful presidents in modern U.S. history, delivering on much of his agenda during his first year back in office. He's cut the size of the federal civilian workforce, dismantled government agencies, and imposed tariffs on goods from several countries. However, despite promising to end the Ukraine war, little progress has been made towards a peace deal. Historians and analysts say that President Trump has increased executive power at a rate rarely seen before, using executive orders and emergency declarations to shift decision-making away from Congress and towards the White House. The conservative majority on the Supreme Court has largely sided with him, and the Republican-controlled Congress has done little to stand in his way. But as we look ahead to the midterm elections, it's clear that President Trump faces significant headwinds. Republicans are in danger of losing control of Congress, which could threaten his domestic agenda and even lead to a third impeachment attempt by Democrats. And with voters increasingly concerned about the rising cost of living, President Trump will need to convince them that he understands their struggles and has a plan to address them. As one Republican strategist noted, "We have to remind voters they need to give the president a full 4 years. But will that be enough to stem the tide of dissatisfaction among voters? Only time will tell." Welcome back to Concrete Block. I'm your host, Walter. As we wrap up today's show, we're taking a closer look at the current state of global politics. With several major countries facing significant challenges in the coming year, it's an exciting and unpredictable time. First, let's take a look at the United States, where President Donald Trump is entering an election year with some big wins under his belt, but also facing significant political headwinds. According to recent reports, Trump's hold on Republicans is slipping, and historians and analysts say this could be a major challenge for him in the coming year. Meanwhile, across the pond, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is facing his own set of challenges. With flatlining economic growth, a high cost of living, and a series of political scandals, Starmer's job is on the line. His party, Labour, is languishing near historic lows in the polls, and some are even calling for him to be ousted. But it's not just the US and UK that are facing political upheaval. In Germany, the far-right AfD party is gaining traction by cozying up to the MAGA movement in the United States. This has significant implications for European politics and could potentially lead to a shift in the balance of power on the continent. As we look ahead to the new year, it's clear that there are many challenges facing global leaders. From economic uncertainty to political instability, it's an uncertain time for many countries around the world. Here at Concrete Block, we're committed to bringing you fair and balanced coverage of these issues without taking a side or promoting a particular agenda. Our goal is to inform and educate, and to help you make sense of the complex and often confusing world of global politics. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.